What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Breaking Barriers. Today I'm joined by the man himself, Farai, and really been looking forward to this. I've known Samurai for a few years now, over a decade, almost, pretty much, I think like 13 years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
It's been quite a while, bro, from like high school days. And I'm actually really looking forward to this. Obviously, from that stage, he's just built an empire, so to say. The whole art, his journey from high school playing sports, going on to study, do his fine art in honors in fine art, and just honestly make waves in the scene. And just uncovering the story, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to ask a few questions that, hit the spot, what I think what I want to know. Yeah. And from there, we'll just flow with it, really. So, bro, welcome, honestly.
Thank you.
Even though I'm in your spot.
I appreciate it. I love to be here. Thanks for the opportunity to chat.
Legend. Bro, to start off with, Samurai Farai.
Yeah.
Can you give us how you got that name?
The
backstory, just...
For sure. I'll give you the in-depth one since that's why you're here, right? So Samurai Farai was actually like a second-year art school project that I was developing, and I feel like I still am developing, but I was really inspired by, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and during his time in New York, him and his friend Paul Rodriguez, if I'm not mistaken, had this duo called Samo, and they would write really provocative statements, graffiti sentences all around Manhattan, lower downtown New York. And I kind of did the same thing, started doing the same thing in art school when I realized that it was pretty much just like a square institution, factory-like setting that just wanted to kind of regurgitate the same mindset and the same people into the world and into the industry. And that's not why I went to art school, so I felt like I wanted to comment on it. I wanted to use my creativity to critique it. I wanted to question the institution. So I did like a lot of that kind of graffiti writing, but just like sentences questioning the institution, questioning what we're being taught. And I got caught. And if you get caught doing something at that level in art school, like it's expulsion. And I got sat down in the HOD's office with all my like head lecturers, and they were like brought up pictures of all the things that I did, and were like, yo, we know this is you, we know your style, and blah blah blah, what do you have to say for yourself? And on the spot my backstory was like, hey guys, this is a research project, it's a performative project where I'm actually criticizing the institution. And lo and behold, they actually loved it. They told me, you can't deface our property, but keep going with this. If it's true to who you are and what you want to be, we can't tell you not to do it. So the samurai part kind of came from, through my fine art studies, learning about a samurai in the 14th century named Yasuke, who was a Mozambican slave, who was taken to China and actually rose from being a slave into the ranks of a samurai. And I found that story incredibly inspirational and motivating. I think somebody like me, in the context of South Africa, believing that you can use your creativity, you can use your motivation, you can use your discipline to really elevate you out of any situation. Hence Samurai Farai. And through the years, man, that's like, I guess like 7-8 years ago, and now it's really blossomed into a brand, a household name. It's not just a creative project now. It's not just, it's more than a pseudonym. It's like this character that I've personified in my everyday life, which also now gets to inspire other people around me, which I think is a really, really beautiful and powerful thing.
Which, bro, that's actually just pushing that boundary from day dot.
For sure.
And I wanted to touch on, obviously, I'm sitting in your spot now. Your walls are covered with your arts. The aesthetic honestly looks like you're just in a showroom. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Just like, this is obviously your safe space where you're sitting down, getting those like brain juices flowing, so to say. You at this point now, but the journey to get to this point, obviously the brick by brick laying that foundation. High school into fine arts, you came from an all boys school where it was, I was also at that school. Like you said, you're going to study art. It's not like the common like degree to go study, bro.
For sure.
That step going into it, like the backstory, what led you into actually pursuing this dream, so to say?
Funny story, man. I think to answer the question firstly before painting the backdrop, I think it was a desperation to get out of the situation that I was in. You know, family life was very troublesome for me. I lost my dad at a young age. At the time, my relationship with my mom was very weird, wasn't healthy at all. My relationships with substances were quite abusive, and I felt like the people around me and just our little group or entourage were just going down a dark hole. And if I didn't study something if I didn't get the opportunity to leave Johannesburg, I felt like I might not have survived it. So the first thing I applied to study was law, got denied. The second thing I applied to study was psychology, which I've always loved, got denied. And literally the day that I wrote my last art exam, I was doing some revision in the library before, and one of my classmates was sitting next to me looking up this art school. And literally, man, I'm not joking, 30 minutes before the exam, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, yo, man, I'm looking at this art school, UCT's Fine Arts Academy. I'm thinking about applying. And I was like, well, shit, what do they need?
Yeah.
And he's like, they need this, that. Rang my mom before going into the exam. I'm like, Mom, there's this place. We're a day late. I think this is it. Hit the exam, came out of it, sorted out all the documents and all the the application that I had to send my artwork, and boom, bam, man, got offered a full scholarship to go study at UCT. And like I said, the desperation took me out of it. I didn't know that you could establish and cement a career in anything creative. Coming from an all-boys school that was super sports orientated, culture was made a mockery of, or cultural activities was made a mockery of. So I really didn't know what the hell I was getting myself into, until, of course, I always loved art. But until I got there and I was like, wow, there's other people like me at this place who have a knack for this, who have a passion for it. And yeah, man, I guess that's how I got there,
Which, it's actually pretty crazy because big reason I wanted to actually chat to you is to uncover this whole, I know you from the 14-year-old, 15-year-old guy at rugby, super jacked, to matric, really well built, saw you on back. I remember bumping into you what's up, boy? I left, obviously, grade 9. And I saw you, okay, by then you're 13, 14, you have all those fundamental years behind your belt.
Sure.
But a lot of people are seeing you now on the stage. People are inviting you on podcasts like I am doing now. You're painting at exhibitions, you're going to all these art fairs. And I came to one of your launches last week and saw you just standing in front of the stage talking. And it's quite cool to see that point A to point B.
Definitely.
What got you from point A to point B? I don't know exactly what got you there. That's your journey, which I'm trying to uncover and just get a better understanding. But seeing that just from my eyes was inspiring, honestly speaking. Just you see a guy playing rugby and stuff, you're not going to think one day he's going to be in front of his fans talking and just releasing artwork
Yeah.
for thousands to see. Like, like it's a bit of a trip, bro, if you look at it like that. And obviously, over the years, I've followed you on social media. I've seen like your updates and the route to get you. You've obviously, my podcast name, Breaking Barriers. There's been barriers that you've had to overcome.
Definitely.
And a big one, I reached out to you about a year ago, or just over a year. You were a few days into sobriety. Could you walk me through that whole journey? Because in the creative scene, it's like known users and like just to push that creativity. Like I was showing somebody your artwork and they're like, dude, I would have never even thought how to like put anything of that together. Hence, like you putting this together, it's like actually just what goes through your brain is probably insane, honestly speaking. Like just the creativity, putting everything to paper.
Yeah.
Could you just give me a backstory on just like what goes through your brain, that whole like journey, what enlightens you, barriers that you've like crossed?
Yeah, man, great question first and foremost. So thank you for that. But and thanks for the support and coming to the event. But I guess, man, you know, the first barrier, which I feel we can, I guess, refer to them as like a hurdle to some degree, which I feel like all of us have multiple of in our lifetime and our journey. But one of my biggest ones was, you know, substance abuse, which was something I had the chance to, you know, divulge to you as soon as the journey began. And it's something that's really plagued me since I was a young boy. I think I started drinking at a young age, I guess, just to escape my reality, to numb pain and grief of losing my father to cancer. And it just became like this dark cloud that I never really dealt with until I was kind of presented with option A and B. And option A was kind of like losing my career, losing my partner, losing my family, and probably eventually losing my life. And I guess the other option was giving it all up and sacrificing the old me to see what life looks like without that substance abuse, without numbing the pain and without like denying the formative experiences that made me who I am. And I think that response ties into what goes through my brain when I create, because a big part of my creative process ties into mental health. And a lot of my agenda with my messaging and my creativity is mental health awareness. It's you know, I create these like forms, these portraits that are very, to some degree, discombobulated, fragmented, layered, but they kind of reveal the inner emotions of the character I'm trying to portray, or the characters, the inner layers, the inner identities, the inner workings of us as people. And how I understand it now is I feel like I'm just constantly taking inspiration from my own journey, my own understanding of my anxiety, my depression, stories of other people's anxiety and depression, and understanding how it's actually a universal theme within human society, you know. And I decided that that would be my theme because it means I can connect and become relatable to everybody across age, across race, across gender, across the world, because it's something we all go through, you know. So really like tapping deep into myself and being vulnerable with myself led me here, if I'm being completely honest. And I don't think I'd be here if I didn't allow that vulnerability to be shared with the world, you know. And that's why I know everything I do is the most authentic version of my creativity. That's why I'm able to like mass these really amazing and sincere responses from my audience, because they feel my sincerity and my authenticity, and that really inspires me to keep going. And And it also inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing so that I can show the youth of this country, more specifically South Africa, that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to struggle with depression. It's okay to struggle with anxiety. It's okay to feel pain, to feel different, so that we can start like bringing it to the surface instead of like hiding it, man. And it's like my little bit of positivity that I think I'm putting out into the world.
Yeah, that was, bro, that was a lot. No, I back
Sorry.
that. Honestly, like,
Yeah.
I didn't know your dad obviously passed away from cancer, and it's quite crazy. So, backstory: my dad had cancer twice as well, which led me into the fitness scene, just purely because I was like, I'm never gonna be at that. How do I say weakness?
Yeah.
12-year-old dude looking at this, or 9-year-old, you've seen this like jacked up dude just like struggling, and I was like, if I train, I won't get to that point. Like, that's almost what I like associated with. But how such a traumatic event shaped so much in your life is really crazy. It's
Bro.
like, it's trip wild
Trips me out still to this day.
to like obviously go through that hurdle barrier and come out on this side now devoting so much towards your health, but at the same time just eliciting it from your brain and creativity, that whole psychosocial approach.
Yeah.
From your physiological standpoint, psychological, social, it's all just like coming together, and that's just honestly crazy. With that, your day-to-day posts and what you're putting out there, as you explained now, you're on this trend, no poison,
Yeah.
fitness, bro. Like, I actually shout out to Gary Cooper. I messaged him earlier. I was like, bro, I'm chatting to Farai. I don't like to pre-plan questions too much. I like the conversations to just flow. And I was like, bro, what would be something cool you would like to hear?
Yeah.
And he was like, no poison.
Yeah.
So,
Like
which is power, because there's just poison everywhere.
Yeah, man.
Please just walk me through that whole.
So I think I might have spoken to you about it last year, or maybe not, but I've been planning this. I was planning this water fast, right? I've been really big into fasting for years now, intermittent fasting, I think since 2017, 2016. But started like doing more research into it and coming to understand like the benefits of doing longer fasts, 48 hours, 72 hours, 90 hours. Some people even go extreme and do like a 5-day or a 7-day. And goes hand in hand, you know, with the conversation about losing a parent to cancer. Fasting is one of those things that decreases your percentage of getting cancer by 70%. It helps against getting Alzheimer's in your late age. It rebuilds stem cells after 36 hours of no food, and it's something that works wonders for your body. It allows your body to essentially heal itself, right? So got back from Egypt, finally had the time on my hands to commit to this water fast, and I managed to do, I think, 48 hours, which is like 3.5 days. And after that, I felt amazing. Throughout the process, continued doing research and just had this complete, just like the dots joined, and I was like, holy crap, if I'm doing all of these things, like training so avidly, going sober, what's the next thing now that I can do in my life and in my diet, in my lifestyle, to aid in my elevation as a human being? And it was like, yo, man, you need to really get critical of what you put into your body, you know. And shout out to Eddie Abu, this social media used to be bodybuilder guy in London, who is preaching this no poison lifestyle, which just asks us to be really conscious about processed foods, asks us to be conscious about things like sugar and how the propaganda machine surrounding food is working so well against us. You know, things like diabetes, things like chronic ailments. 9 out of 10 of these diseases people are dying with are metabolically based, which means it's from the stuff we're putting in to our bodies via our mouths. The no poison thing it was just like, it made sense after the fast to just be like, no more shit. And if this no poison diet's also going to result in me being more happier, me taking accountability and taking the steps against my depression and anxiety, ding, 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 light bulb. You know,
It's controlling the controllables. What you're saying there, the no poison, and actually breaking it down to me. I've sat down with people before, and obviously I train clients. That's my gig, run the gym. And one thing I tell them always is, if you can't control what you're putting in your body, how are you controlling everything around in your life? How are you going to run a successful business?
Yeah.
If it's so easy to just say, this isn't good for me, let's just put it to the side. It's honestly just saying, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Why am I going to take it? And just like basically getting that mindset of, you know what's right, you know what's wrong, just do the right thing. That's like not a complicated equation.
No,
it's actually straight to the point. Like, I want a good body. I want to be mentally strong, stable. Where am I, like, if I look at my goals and where I want to go and break it down, where am I going wrong? That lifestyle audit.
for sure.
Putting in that poison, staying up late, not training, and touching on that, we had a chat. You came through to the gym a while ago, and I was busy preaching and telling you my whole everyday athlete, what I've been pushing on Instagram, just on socials. And I wanted to ask you, I obviously explained it to you, when you see that everyday athlete, what do you resonate from that? What do you take from that brick by brick, the daily deposits, the everyday athletes?
Damn, man, I relate and I'm inspired by it because I think it ties into a lot of my philosophies, you know, like one of them that I've like been able to kind of word now is like, never not an artist. You know, I'm never not an artist because the way I think is in a creative manner, the way that I cook food is within a creative manner, the way that I exist within this world and society is as an artist. So everything I do, and everyday athletes, I resonate with that is because it's like we're just saying the same thing with different words, right? If I look at that sentence and apply it to myself, I love it because athletes are required to be disciplined. They're required to live and approach every obstacle with ferocious tenacity. They're essentially competitive at heart, and they are competitors. And now when we take in that everyday notion, it's not just on the track, not just on the field, not just in the gym. How do you apply that mindset that we're talking about into your lifestyle that surrounds your athleticism, your profession? So I feel like all of us have the potential to be everyday athletes, you know, because it's not really about the athleticism per se. It's about the mentality. It's about the discipline, the lifestyle that you actually have to forge, which actually results in health, you know, which I think a lot of people forget coming into the fitness industry. It's about well-being, and wellness being the core fundamental word. Like, wellness has been completely forgotten, you know. People are fucking pumping themselves with how many chemicals and steroids and things that are actually killing them in order to look a certain way, to have a certain body type, but that has no relatability to wellness. So I really love your notion of everyday athlete because I feel like it ties into that pillar of wellness, of well-being, of a healthy lifestyle and mentality. I think it's a fantastic philosophy.
Back it, thanks. No, that's honestly the way you summed it up there, probably summed it up better than me. Which I'm back. I'm actually gonna write that down, keep it, and
Please, bro.
because what I took, obviously, everyday athletes, I've explained it to multiple people. It's not everyone's a professional, not everyone's a professional artist, but everyone has art in them, obviously.
Yeah.
Their creativity. Just with this whole podcast, speaking to people around me, that would look cool, that would look cool. It's all art at the end of the day.
Yeah.
In your respective field.
Definitely.
Where you've chosen, obviously, your field and excelled at it, definitely. But that whole everyday athlete, it's the backbone of society. Everyone coming together and doing their part. And where I got it from was a book written by Robin Sharma, The Everyday Hero.
Dope.
Which everyone overlooks the everyday hero. The blue collar worker, the guy at McDonald's, the street sweeper, the teacher. And everyone's like, I want to be that lawyer at the top of the firm. I want to be on the stock market. I want to be, and everyone's praising those people, but the backbone of society are the blue collar workers, the guys that are actually doing the job and doing the things. And in the industry, obviously, there's not a lot of professional athletes. Like, you come to realize, like, it's just the odd few that are professional in their respective fields.
Yeah.
Everybody else is that everyday athlete.
Yeah.
So that's just a backstory. Like I say, how I came to it was, we are all are everyday athletes. I'm an everyday athlete, just chipping away, going to it. And I wanted to ask, obviously, with the whole mental health, your mentality, your approach, I use fitness like, if I'm sad, I'll go for a run. If I'm like super hyped up, I'll hit the weights. I use different components of fitness depending on how my mood is. I obviously got a structure, but that's pretty much what dictates my workouts. How does fitness work with you in that mental health, and how does it dictate your feelings when you're creative and you're like sitting down and you're in that flow zone, or when you're just like chilling out, or what's fitness doing for you?
Man, it's like I was talking to somebody the other day about this specifically, so it's interesting that you asked me that now. It's like I tell people that my fitness journey has, and actually always has been, a formative pillar of my happiness in my life. Like, I've always been like an athletic child, now an athletic young man, and I hope to be an athletic Bali one day. But it's like, man, it's this constant in my life that I can depend on, that grounds me in like the most amazing way. It's like, as somebody who is as creative as I am, I'm like high functioning, you know, I'm super cerebral. I'm always in my imagination. I daydream a lot. I've got a lot of ideas that I want to articulate. I've got ADD. Being able to go for a run, lift weights, really get my heart rate pumping and connect my mind to my body gives me this opportunity to just like slow everything down, really get in tune with myself. And you know, like you saying, your emotions sometimes dictate your exercise routines. You know, I love to manifest things that I want to achieve when I go for long runs. I like to really dig deep into myself and ask myself why I'm not pushing to do A, B, or C when my heart is racing and my lungs are burning. And if I'm like going to do a heavy squat or a bench press or something that burns my muscles in a different way, I have this understanding that like the mind can do what the body can do, you know, through constant repetition, through struggle, through breathing. You can really lift mental weights. You can break mental barriers by breaking them physically, you know. And I love that connotation constantly in my life, to like keep breaking physical barriers, because then when I see them break and I see my body break them, my mind follows suit. My mind's like, push a bit harder. You can go further. Keep breathing. You've done this before. You've been in worse scenarios. So for me, it's just like, it's like medicine, man, like for real. And I try and like give that insight to more people, but you also have to want that experience for yourself. You can't drag people to the gym. You can't drag people on a run. But, you know, once you feel that surge of endorphins or dopamine from just an amazing workout, and also the relationships you can build with people through healthy physical activity, it's super profound, man. You know, go on a jog with somebody twice a week and you'll start a friendship there that you never knew was possible. And the basis for that friendship now is well-being and wellness. And I think that's better than having 1,000 drinking buddies or 1,000 buddies that you smoke weed with. You know, you bond with someone through wanting to better yourself physically and mentally. You bond with people through wanting to push barriers, break barriers. You motivate each other to do that. And I didn't know that was where I would land up with the mentality when I was younger. You know, I don't think you did either with like your relationship with sports and exercise. So it's really a special place. And man, firstly, I must always acknowledge that it's a privilege that we have our able bodies. We have bodies that move, we have all our limbs, and we live in a society where we as men are safe enough to go out and do these things. That's like a massive privilege, and I'm really grateful for that. And I see a lot more people opening their eyes to it and getting involved with it and realizing like, hey, maybe after work I shouldn't go get these drinks with these people. Maybe I should hit the gym. Maybe I should go for a run. Maybe I should go to sleep a little bit earlier and get in that 45-minute sweat because my mood for the day is going to be completely different. Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
No, that was what I gained from that consistently. And it's quite crazy because what a picture can do. I saw you in Egypt at the back end of last year.
Yeah.
And I was saying with a lot of my clients or just people in general, a pyramid is only as strong as its base.
For sure.
And consistently, day in, day out, doing what you're doing. Also looking at you, obviously I see the posts, you putting out 15 posts a day on stories. You've got artwork in exhibitions all over. You, what I consider a high performer, as you've stated yourself and you know it. What does your day-to-day look like? What is that consistency schedule? Because yours is abstract. Yeah. I know I'm going to go at 5 a.m., train my clients to X, have my break, have my lunch, come talk to you on a podcast, go back and do it.
Yeah.
With you, it's, yo, Samurai, I needed you to do A, B, C, D. Yo, Samurai, jump on a plane to Cape Town and drop this. Yo, Samurai, what's almost the schedule you keep and keep consistent in those day-to-day activities and disciplines?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I'll paint the picture for you.
Please do.
You know, every single day now for the past like 16 months, I have this app, the sobriety app on my phone. So the first thing I do every day is make a pledge to myself, which is kind of like signing a contract for that day that today I'm staying sober. And it's incredibly important to me to have that because it's a level of accountability that I can hold myself to. After that, I do my daily affirmations in the mirror, man, and this is something I've been doing ever since I was like 10 years old, which I basically just affirm that, you know, I am attracting the destiny that I deserve. As cliche as it sounds, you know, I'm here for a reason. I affirm my purpose, and I affirm that I'm like loved and guided and protected, and that's also just as important to me, man, because it's like a contract that I sign with myself, and there are these little things that I have to do within the day because my schedule is so abstract. So my pledging, my affirmations, and my training, the training I'll maybe have 2 days off a week, but those are pretty much, they have to be bread and butter wherever I am. If I'm in Cape Town, if I'm in Durban, if I'm in Johannesburg, I have to have those things in my contract of accountability, because I don't know what else can happen in a day, right? I can be at a table with like 3 CEOs of multi-million rand companies discussing projects, and I can't not be the sharpest that I have to be in that moment. So all of those small things keep me sharp. Eating and starting the day off with great healthy food that has no poison and sugar. What I eat throughout the day is also incredibly important to me. But as of late, man, you know, some days I don't even like put paint or brush to canvas or put charcoal to paper in terms of the whole creative process, because I've kind of diversified what I do to such an intense degree where I've got people who make my carpets, I've got people who make my sculptures, I've got people who make my t-shirts. So sometimes it's sitting at a table and calling people and holding them accountable to certain projects, checking up on production, checking up on like updates of things, chasing deadlines, following up with clients, closing deals, offering people payment plans for certain artworks they want. So a lot of my day is admin based. You know, I'm sending 3 to 5 emails a day, whether it's work related, whether it's personal client related, whether it's whatever. It's become the Samurai Farai brand has become something that that doesn't require me to paint every day, if that's what I'm saying. I also hope that answered the question.
No, it did. And tell me, with that, do you miss painting every day, would you say? Was there a time that you can consistently say, I woke up, as you do training, non-negotiable, you train in every day,
Sure.
where obviously building the brand and merging into all these different levels and like just different avenues, so to say, you were at a point where you weren't selling your paintings. In the initial stages, it's just every day you're going to write in your journal, every day you're going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym every day. I might not have a client, but I'm going to have to put myself there. In those initial stages, that driving force, were you every single day paint to canvas, just designing, those initial stages? Because clients of mine said the other day, he runs a really high-end property portfolio, and he said, I love getting into businesses now because that initial starting point is the most exciting.
For sure.
Because you don't know what's going to come.
Yeah.
It's that like almost a blank canvas. You have an idea, and now I'm going to almost throw luck with it and just throw it out into the world and see what comes.
Yeah.
Those initial days, what was going through the brain?
Bro, to answer like very honestly, and I think a lot of people don't know this about me, but up until the beginning of 2021, I was still working hospitality. You know, there was a 12-month period where I left to work as an art auctioneer and curator on the cruise ships. Before that 12-month period out of university, I was a waiter and a bartender. 12 months abroad, that failed, COVID, came back to exactly where I was before I left. And what that meant was, you know, I was fresh out of university honors degree with nothing to do, and I had to keep myself afloat, so I had like 3 jobs. Having 3 jobs didn't give me the opportunity to just wake up and paint every day. Firstly, I don't have an audience, nobody knows me, I don't know the industry, I'm ignorant. So, let me just do what I've been doing throughout uni and serve people scrambled eggs and coffee at 6 in the morning for 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I had no problem with that because I knew what I had inside of me and I knew it was really special. I was okay not going out with my homies and partying because I had to go to work or I was working a double shift or I didn't have the money to spend in those ways. And once, so I can say I've only been an independent artist now for, I think, coming into my 3rd or 4th year, where I've been able to pay rent, pay bills, buy the things that I want purely off of the fiscal generated from my creativity, which is a fucking privilege. I'm able to support myself and my family through this thing, and I think it's something a lot of artists struggle with. It's only where it is now, and it only is where it is with me being independent due to my business acumen. The way that I look at painting canvas with that passion, I approach my business knowledgeability with that same passion. I want to know. I want to ask questions. There's still a million things I don't know that every day I try my best to tick off the list of doing research about. I tell a lot of people when they ask, how did you paint this? How did you do this? And I'm like, man, to be quite frank with you, the painting was 20% of the process. The research and development was 80. The putting together and the planning is 80% of everything that I do. So same thing with the business ventures. It's like, you just see the t-shirts in the spot. You don't know the 80% and the references, the inspirations, the motivations, the planning, the dots that had to be connected. You don't actually know the end goal of what this is gonna look like, and that's cool. But I'm really passionate, man, about not just painting canvas and making physical objects, but understanding the art industry and the creative entrepreneurial side of society. And I'm kind of like obsessed with it. And I think that really feeds into my success, and it's something I'm super passionate about, man. Sometimes I look at other artists and I get envious at like something they've created, but then I look back and say, well, damn, that person hasn't diversified like this. I could sit them down and tell them how they could do this and that with something that they've made a painting of. I see myself a lot more as a cultural entrepreneur than just an artist, which I've had to understand and take the time to nurture. But I think it's made me an invaluable pillar, not just in my life, but, within my industry. There's nobody with the mindset that I have. I get to sit at tables with advertising moguls, with people that work for amazing music companies. I get to sit with interior decorators and designers. I get to sit with music managers. I get to sit with property developers. And I don't know a single fine artist that's in that many rooms. I get to sit with personal trainers and people who train fucking world-class athletes. I don't know another creative that has that flexibility and malleability and using it to their advantage like me. If that makes sense.
No, completely. And I love that word that you finished off, being malleable.
Yeah.
Being that chameleon in the room and just being able to adapt and shift. And a big reason for the podcast is obviously that unconventional wisdom.
Yeah.
So to say, you went and studied fine art, you got your honors, you never went and studied business, which was the route that if you want to run a business, you do entrepreneurship or BCom and that always confused me because when I started my business, training people was easy, honestly speaking. If you know the science, if you know the different modalities, working with the athletes, it's cool. But I'm building a brand. Building a brand, that's a business. I have to branch out. I have to have the chats, speak to the people, the logistics behind T-shirts, behind all those things. That's the hard part, which you weren't taught that through a textbook.
Yeah.
Which almost comes to say, is it a nature nurture or how bad do you want it? Because like, I got to the roots. I've got to this point now where found relative success, independence, have my gym. You at your root, but it was through just breaking through a brick wall, so to say.
For sure.
And I just want to hear it from you. Like, what actually, we got to this point. You're a business owner. I'm a business owner. You didn't study a BCom. You did fine arts. I'm a biokineticist, sports scientist. But we both run businesses.
Yeah.
Like, which
weird.
people, like, when, it's funny because people ask, dude, what do you do? And I'm like, yeah, I train people. And then they see on Instagram, dude, do you own a gym? Like, and
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy in the room that's like, yeah, I own a gym and I have X amount of, it's kind of douchebaggy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not that I'm hiding what I'm doing, but it's so like everyday thing. That's what I do. And same as you, bro. No, well, everything's out there, but like you, I don't think people understand the level of having your art in these places and being able to paint flags for music videos, which the enormity of it, actually speaking. So I like went on the question, but that mentality was just how bad you wanted it. Was it just a...
I think, you know, like I've always been a very curious person from the get-go. I was an extremely curious child and like always asking questions. And I think now that my curiosity has aligned with my passion, I'm always asking questions. I'm asking the right questions that are most of the time surrounding how do we develop and evolve. Two words that I love using these days is how do we revise and refine, because I think that's really what it's about, especially with, I think, with anything. You can be at point A and you can have an amazing journey and experience of process or relationships that have gotten you to point A, but the only way you break through the wall and get to point B is by refining and revising, you know. And I've been blessed enough to have really amazing mentors who have been pioneers within their own right, but who I've been able to basically catch seeds and gems of knowledge from, and they all do completely different things. You know, my one mentor is like a retail genius who has birthed, you know, segments like sports scene and archive and to some degree shelf life. And that's where I get my brand information and sales psychology tactics from. Another mentor is an amazing sculptor who worked with one of the best galleries on the continent and then told them to fuck off because he wanted to do it independently. I learned from him certain tactics and strategies within my art discipline. You know, I have another mentor who studied a few years ahead of me, who is now assistant curator to the Venice Biennale. I think that process of going out and asking the questions, going out and expressing your curiosity and connecting the dots is what led me here, man. So I think it was just like going out there and wanting it, wanting to be different, I think is a very, very big thing. Wanting to not be the same as everybody else. You know, I was like, cool, I got this degree. I don't want to sign to a gallery. The gallery is going to take 50% commission from me. Maybe not yet. How do I establish myself first? How do I actually understand how to sell an artwork by myself before I pay somebody tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of rands to sell my work? Because if I don't know what I'm paying these people to do, if I don't know how to do it first, something's wrong. Let me learn how to do these people's jobs so next time they approach me, I can say, listen, I can do your job already. You know, that puts me in a position of power. And like I said, the curiosity just keeps leading me into these scenarios where I want to know, so I go out and find out. I don't allow myself to play victim and say, oh no, I don't know, the information's being gatekept. That's bullshit. We have the internet, we have people, we have society, we have books, we have history. If you really want to know something, you can go out and find it out.
Bro, you summed it up honestly 1,000% there. And what I gathered through everything, the revising, asking the questions, being curious, was I live by something: success leaves clues. Look at the people doing successful things, ask them the questions, because they must be doing something right.
Yeah.
And the one question I did prep for today, I never gave you a heads up just because you're super dynamic and I know you're going to answer it 1,000%. I took something from a guy named Tim Ferriss, his book Tribe of Mentors, and he asked all these guests, if you had a billboard that everybody could see, what would it say?
Sure.
And for me, success leaves clues.
Yeah.
And I asked my previous guest, one of them, and he says, do hard things. But from the artist's brain to paper.
So, I don't know, the questions that come to mind are like a bit too particular, like what's the billboard for? Are we selling something? I mean,
Fair.
Fuck. Damn. It's a great one. I guess if this billboard is to inspire, right? That'll be the context. To motivate, to encourage. It would have to be my key slogan, man, which is pay your rent.
Back it.
Yeah. And if somebody has the curiosity to do the research, they'll find more out, you know. But for me, that's really what I'm living by now. And I think it ties into my philosophy as a human, which is like, this is like a meat vessel that I'm temporarily in, and the healthy, disciplined, hard things I do are me paying rent to this temple, this thing that I'm blessed to be in for now. And for me to keep it in its tip-top, sharpest form, gotta pay your rent.
I actually love that response, honestly. And just everything you've said today is nothing was given, everything was earned.
For sure.
Everything where you are sitting in your place now, that was you, bro. And it wasn't, here's your lucky chance, or here's your on a platter. It was do the hard work and pay your rent, essentially.
Yeah.
And you've paid it, and you're paying it forward.
Yeah.
And you know, month by month, it goes from the 10K to the 20K rent to the 50K.
Yeah.
To a point where that rent you're busy putting out there, people won't even think of. Like, you know, just not because people can't get there. And I believe anyone can get to a point if they pay their rent and do the hard things.
Exactly.
But you're doing those hard things and get in there.
For sure, bro. It's not easy. It's not fun either. And I think I try to paint that picture for a lot of people that, like, well, it's not easy to get up and hit the concrete at 5 a.m., bro. Your bed is a phenomenal place at 5 a.m. You know, But the hard things that we ask ourselves to do really callous our minds for any unexpected experience that this life will throw at us. And that can look like any different thing for you or me. I think for me, it's like a client pulling out of a life-changing deal, or being denied by this brand, or this company ghosting me. So many things happen to me regularly that ask me to like question my self-esteem, my confidence, and the value of what I do. But because of the rent that's being paid, going out there and like busting my ass, doing something physical, I'm like, yo man, nothing can really affect me right now as much as I go out and affect myself in that way. I'm going out, and it used to be like going out and binge drinking and doing stupid shit like that. Now it's like, we were in Egypt, we ran a 21-kilometer race. We've never run like that. Nothing that anybody ever does to me can affect me like that 21K affected me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Nah, like honestly speaking,
like
it's
no like stupid snarky comment on Instagram about a painting that I did will ever like affect me like I felt 18 kilometers in. That was like the realest. That's real agony. You know what I mean?
bro, I back that. Honestly, like when you get to that level of just being so secure in yourself that you might say, bro, your work is crap. I don't care, bro. I honestly can't
Yeah.
even think to care.
Yeah.
And just listening to that, you've got to that point where I know my stuff is good.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there. If you like it, cool. If you don't, cool. It's a even playing field, bro.
Yeah, we all allowed this world allows for freedom of expression, freedom of opinion, you know, and that's the beauty of it. Everybody has theirs to share. We don't want it to be homogenous. We don't want everybody to think the same. But, you know, I also want to continuously evolve and push myself, but not because Tom, Dick, or Harry thinks that my shit isn't dope. You know, I'm gonna push myself and evolve because that's what I've always done. Some snarky critique from somebody who I don't know, somebody who isn't brave enough to put their work out there or brave enough to live a life aligned with their passion, is not gonna tell me how I can improve mine. That's where I draw the line. Somebody who is potentially an individual I admire or am inspired by, I make the space to potentially take critique and comments from, but still not wholeheartedly. You know, I think I don't look at anybody like with a God complex and like, oh my goodness, tell me how to succeed. Because I think I've been around long enough and failed enough to realize that there's so many ways to the top of the mountain that I can't even tell any young kid how to do it anymore. I can like give them little seeds and tools on how to like approach challenges, how to approach industry, how to approach their relationship with themselves. But that's all I can do. I can't take you up the mountain the way I went because that's not how it works, you know.
It's a completely different mountain that you climb in, different backstory. Bro. But bro, honestly speaking, today this podcast actually just lit me up completely. Out of respect and just to let the viewers know, the listeners.
Yeah.
What are you up to? What are you at the moment besides painting in high-end carpets? Like, what are the standouts that... Where can we find you? I know we can get some tees, carpets, paintwork at We Are Egg.
Yeah.
Where else, like, can we actually, like, access you and just not support the cause, but just, like, be a part of your journey, so to say, through, be it a painting, sculpture. There's something to be a part of the Samurai Farai journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, they have to follow me on Instagram at samurai_Farai. Can't miss me. And yeah, I think for me, it's more just to tap into the universe to see, into like my universe to see like a lot of about what we've chatted today. It's like, how do I incorporate my physical relationship with exercise? How does that affect my creativity, my relationship with sobriety? I think just the response that I found with my audience from like random people telling me, hey man, stopped waking up and eating KFC in the morning because I see what you post for breakfast and I'm so inspired. Like small little gems like that are also really why I do what I do. I think selling the art and doing the t-shirts is great, but inspiring people is even better. You can get my stuff at We Are Egg here in Rosebank, Johannesburg. You can hit me up about private commissions online. My Shopify account is in my bio on Instagram. I've got a solo show coming up this year in Cape Town. I don't have a fixed date just yet, but that'll kind of be my debut exhibition as an artist with a gallery. I still haven't signed to them though, but we have an understanding, We auctioned the sneakers last week. We're doing our second one tomorrow here in Joburg, which would be Wednesday the 6th. Hey, tomorrow's the 6th. The Bhutan collaboration, which is going to be live in stores and online as of next week. And yeah, man, like there's so much, there's something potentially happening with Cannes Film Festival. There's something potentially happening with Spotify. I guess my job is to make sure that people don't have to find me. My job is to make sure I'm everywhere.
Yeah, that was power.
That was
bro.
a good one.
Yeah,
That was the finisher.
Bro, you saved that.
That was a finisher.
No, boss, bro.